How would you feel if you were struggling with a mental illness and you went to go tell somebody about it, but when you did, you were just told to quit being so soft and man up? So you go and tell another person about your mental illness, and they tell you something very similar. They say, quit being such a baby. You're a man. Be a man. This is a sad but true reality for many men that struggle with their mental health, and is a reason why mental health is a growing problem in the world. This mindset that people have on men's mental health is also a key reason why we have lost many men to an early grave by suicide. I am Jared Hayward, the speaker of today's TED Talk, and the topic is on men's mental health and the reasons why it is a problem in our world. Some background information. Men's mental health is no different than women's mental health. Both men and women can have mental illnesses and can struggle with them in the same ways. The difference is that there is a stigma surrounding men's mental health. And this stigma is that men don't have mental health problems and that men don't really struggle with anything, which is very untrue. But this is often a reality that many people believe, that men have it all together and that men don't really have feelings or always know what to do and are never supposed to get sad or struggle or be depressed. And this stigma has created this idea that is known across the world by many, that men just don't need treatment, they don't need help because they don't have a mental illness, they don't have any mental battles. But this is untrue. And again, what this stigma leads to is that now men are afraid to speak out about their mental illnesses because it has been so normalized that they aren't supposed to have a mental illness, that they're supposed to be fine. So often men hide behind a mask and never come forward with their mental illness. The problem behind this is that this is leading to many male suicides. And as a matter of fact, suicide is the leading cause of death in many men. Taking a look at this infographic, men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide. And just as previously mentioned, men make up nearly 80% of all suicides in the world. Nearly 80%. That is 4 out of every 5 suicides. And for every 4 men that commit suicide, only 1 woman is committing suicide. Now, I'm not saying there's any reason women should be committing suicide more than men. It's just that we need to bring the number of male suicides down. 40% of men have never spoken to anyone about their mental health. Again, because there's the reason this is such a high number at 40%, almost half the men in this world, is because it has been stigmatized that they shouldn't have a mental illness, so they are worried about being embarrassed by coming forward with their problem. 1 in 10 men experience depression or anxiety, but less than half of them receive treatment. Again, they don't want to speak up about their problems because of this men's mental health stigma that has been created in our world. So by starting to figure out how we can break this stigma, it is realizing where men's mental health comes from. Some causes of men's mental illness is, like everyone, we all go through life, and sometimes life can get stressful. A lot of stress can lead to many different mental illnesses, such as depression, anxiety, PTSD, bipolar disorder, substance use disorder, and many other different types of mental illnesses. As we know, some of these mental illnesses can be very dangerous if not treated. Another reason men have poor mental health is because of societal expectations. The world is growing and getting better at this, but still it is expected that men are always supposed to be strong and have it all together, and that men are always supposed to be okay, and that there is no room for them to fall apart or ever be weak. They also feel immense pressure to live up to the expectations of making a lot of money, being successful, making their family and friends and parents proud. And this often creates more stress on them and can create more mental health from failures or just from overall anxieties. And because of this stigma, again, men don't want to ask for help when they are struggling with these problems, so instead they keep it all inside. And when these men are keeping it all inside, it often creates an idea in their mind to cope another way. And this leads to them coping with things like drugs and alcohol. And as we know, those can be very addictive and lead them down an even worse path. And because men don't ever speak out about their illness, again, it creates this general idea that men don't have mental illnesses and that men don't struggle, when again, this is wrong. As a matter of fact, if we take a look at this graph from the United States of America, it shows how the percentage of men in the USA rose from, starting in 2008, from 13.6% all the way up to 2023 to 19%. So from 2008 to 2023, there was about a 6% increase in US men alone who had a mental illness between the years of 2008 and 2023. This shows how men's mental illness is continuing to rise as more men are having mental illness. But don't get me wrong, these numbers could actually all be way higher. This is because many men don't speak about their mental illness. There are many men that probably could be on this graph, but aren't. But it shows that men's mental illness is real and that it is actually rising and that there are more men struggling with mental health battles. So how do we solve men's mental health? How do we find some solutions to help these men? The biggest solution is by breaking the stigma. If we all can come together in this world and break the stigma and realize that men's mental health is equally as important as women's, and that it is okay for men to cry and for men to not be okay, and this will really take a lot of pressure off of many men's shoulders and take away a lot of their struggles. Some of the ways we can break the stigma are by promoting open communication, promoting that it is okay for men to talk to their family, talk to their friends, talk to someone about what they are going through on the inside. We can also challenge these harmful stereotypes. We as people can be courageous and strong to stand up against these stereotypes that men are always supposed to be strong and that men are weak if they have a mental illness. We can also break the stigma by increasing access to support. This could be starting more men's mental health support groups. This could be guiding more men to maybe go to therapy or receive medication. And as I just talked about, we need to encourage. So we encourage men to get help. Don't force them, but encourage. And when we create these these support groups, we need to create safe ones. We need men to know that they are safe here and that whatever they say is never going to be used against them, or is never going to be deemed wrong. Men can also make lifestyle changes, and they can also get different types of advanced therapy, such as electroconvulsive therapy and also transcranial magnetic stimulation, which would help a man's brain. Some other ways we can solve men's mental health and help them in their battles against men's mental health is by promoting men to stay physically active, building supportive networks for men, or help them build supportive networks for themselves. Encourage practicing mindfulness or meditation, promoting setting realistic goals, seeking professional help like a doctor or therapy, limiting alcohol and substance use, as we all know those can lead to a lot of bad things, And also promoting to do what you love and engage in your hobbies and your favorite things, whether that's video games, sports, going for walks, bike riding. But this ultimately leads to what is the best solution? What is really going to end this stigma the fastest? The best solution to solving men's mental health and mental illness is by breaking the stigma worldwide. Yes, all these other things like encouraging men to go to therapy or encouraging men to join a support group, those are very good solutions, don't get me wrong. But I personally feel until we break the stigma that not every man will feel comfortable to step forward with their mental illness. If we break the stigma, men won't feel as worried or internally conflicted to reach out for help. They will feel comfortable making the decision to go to something like talk therapy because the stigma is broken. They know that it's okay for them to not be okay. Breaking the stigma would likely increase the number of men that speak out about their mental health, leading to less men suffering in silence, and less men suffering in silence that leads them to their own death. Now, the world can solve this problem by normalizing men's mental health today. If men's mental health is normalized, the world would take a step in the positive direction. This is because, again, the chains that men feel they're equipped to and that they can't break free of, that are their mental health problems, would be broken if the world would just normalize men's mental health. This would lead to more efforts across the world of making support centers for men's mental health, and other types of resource centers as well. With the world normalizing men's mental health, more men would come forward, resulting in less men struggling with their mental health, and also less men committing suicide because they have no one to talk to or no one to speak to about their problem. Now, personally, you watching the video or you listening to this in the audience today, what can you do? What can you take from this? Well, first off, you can listen to men about their feelings. Ask them how they're feeling. Oftentimes men aren't asked or listened to because they never really talk about their feelings because they feel like they can't. So, check in on your male friends, check in on the guys in your life. Make sure they're okay. And when you decide to check up on them and listen, that helps a lot. Just getting it out to someone they trust, that helps a lot. And don't break their trust. And when you listen to their problems, try to encourage them. Maybe try to encourage them in the direction to, maybe you could go to the doctor and see if they could get you diagnosed with some medication. Or maybe, I saw this support group in the newspaper. Why don't you maybe sign up for it? Maybe that would be good for you. These are great solutions that can lead men in the positive direction to winning their battle against their mental illness. And when you try these things with the men in your life, don't just try and fix them or force them to do any of this. Just try to guide them. Let them do what is best for them. Let them make the right decision, but still be there in their life. But keep in mind, possible problems about this could be lack of technology and apathy, and there could also be apathy. Now, the lack of technology that could hold solving men's mental health back is that if the world decided and finally went in the right direction to normalize men's mental health, a lot of that would probably be through social media in today's day and age. Some countries don't have as strong of technology in social media, so maybe they wouldn't hear about it as much, which could be a problem. Another problem could be apathy in people. Some people just might not care and might not want to, help men's mental health go in the right direction. These two factors could hold breaking the stigma of men's mental health back, but I think if enough people work together, the stigma can be broken. I thank you all for taking the time to listen to my TED Talk on men's mental health today. I want you all to know, no matter what gender you are important, whether you're a boy or a girl. You are important and you do matter. I just don't think men's mental health gets talked about enough. So let's talk about men's mental health just as much as we talk about women's mental health. And let's save a lot of men from an early grave because of their mental illness. I thank you all very much again for listening. I want you to know that you are all very loved and that you all matter. Here's my Works Cited page. Thank you for taking the time to listen today. Have a great day.